Yeah. All right, cog some out, everybody. Lousy. It'll be a very slow service. Anybody gets twitchy, the service is not long, and it's hard to want to all kind of gather together. But if anybody gets twitchy, you go across into the residence room. You can still watch and see the service. So if anybody needs to take a break, that's perfectly okay. All right, everybody see what the cantor's holding? You should all have one of these, a guitar.
Did everyone bring their guitar? If
No.
not, then a prayer book will do.
Okay, I don't have a guitar. We will also be putting the service up on the screen. The cantor's gonna get her microphone. So let's try this again. Chag Sameach. Excellent. What did I just say? That was excellent. Thank you, Cantor. Come and walk around here. So, no one can hear me at home right now. Not like I'm around here. Now they can hear me. Everybody, so we can make everybody. So look, we have the we have Owen Franklin family. We have Walter Duralek with video off. So you put your video on when we get the chance to see him. But you can see everybody. So if you're here in the sanctuary, you can see everybody signed in at home right here on the screen. And if you're there at home, they can see you on the screen. And everybody who's here in this section, as you see up there, kind of. What happened? More people came on? It slipped. You can see your legs. Everybody in the front row, everybody you can see. I mean, it doesn't matter if it doesn't actually, Ken, it doesn't matter if they don't see that so much. But I guess other people come on because they're here in the room and they can see us here. There we go. Everybody in the congregational staff is trained and has their own expertise. I'm in charge of turning on the computers, and I'm going to do this thing right now where I stop it from beeping. And the cantor is trained in making this part work. There you go. All right. So I'm going to bring up the service. Now that you see how that works, I'm going to mess it all up. How's that? Great. Everybody ready? The rabbi's going to lead music. Everybody loves when we do that. There's a lot to do in this service, so we're going to go through really quickly because this is what Simchat Torah. So what do we do on Simchat Torah? We wear masks and we shout at Haman, right? We are wearing masks. That is true. Anybody know what we do? Anybody been to a Simchat Torah service before? In person? Here at the temple? What do we do? I don't remember. Yes, from the Rosses. What do you got? Nice and loud. We finish the end of the Torah. We start reading again. And just to show you, we usually take one of our Torah scrolls. We dance around with all the Torah scrolls. We'll get a chance to do that. We do 7 hakafot. But 6 we do with the Torah scrolls all the way around. The 7th hakafah, we unroll the Torah all the way around the congregation. So we're going to do it with a special Torah I'll tell you about later. Today, it's our oldest Torah scroll. And we're all going to get a chance to see if you're younger, if you're under 13, you get to sit in the middle and watch. If you're over 13, you get to stand on the outside and hold the Torah. And then the cantor and I will go through and read the entire Torah. So we should be done by about Thursday. And there'll be snacks after that. So let's start off by singing about how good it is to be together. All right, so since it is a holiday, how do we start holidays? First, we figure out where the holiday comes from. So we're going to read these words here on page 1 in the book. I'll read the words that are written in straight up text, and the words that are in italics, curved font, you guys can read. It is written 3 times a year, shall you hold a festival before God. The Feast of Matzot in the month of spring, the time when you came out of Egypt. What do we call that one? Egypt's good. What's the name of that holiday where we eat matzah? Yes. Excellent. Or Pesach. The Feast of the Harvest, the first fruit of your labor in your field. Anybody remember that one? We do confirmation then. Parents, you can answer too. There you go, Shavuot. And the Feast of Ingathering the Harvest at the summer's end. That's the one that's ending as the sun sets, which we call, we're doing it right now. You walk through it on the way into the building. Sukkot. Excellent, you can yell out. The festivals are times to celebrate our joys and give thanks for them. We are blessed with food enough to sustain life, with beauty that delights the eye, with freedom to be ourselves, and with knowledge of the law that forms our moral being. Your turn.
We give thanks for vineyard and field, and for all who tend them, for nature's unfailing order, which brings ripeness to the earth and joy to the heart, and for the law in human life, which brings happiness to all who follow it. Praise be our God for life, for sustenance, and for this festive day.
And so on any festive day, how do we start things off? Candles. All right, so we have a special candle blessing that's similar but not exactly the same to Shabbat. And then because it's a festival, we also have a blessing we say afterwards. You can join with us as we do this blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Yom Tov. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Now we're ready to worship together. We can all stand up. Since we're in the sanctuary, you can face the actual ark. If you're at home, you can face the ark on the screen or face the east.
Baruchu et Adonai, HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach, le'olam va'ed.
On this day, we remember the goodness of all creation.
On this day, we remember the goodness of earth and air, water and sun, and all that grows.
On this day, we remember the many gifts of God. Let us remember and let us give thanks. Now we're going to read the last line of the prayer, which is called the Chatimah, or the signature, or the seal, kind of a summary of the whole prayer. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Together.
May our eyes sparkle with the light of Torah and our ears hear the music of its words. May the space between each letter of the scrolls bring warmth and comfort to our souls. May the syllables draw holiness from our heart, and may this holiness be gentle and soothing to us and all God's creatures. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Blessed are you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
So I want everybody to look at the Shema, not in your book, but up here on the screen. You notice anything about two of those Hebrew letters? Remember that. It's going to come up later when we have the Torah.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. So next is the V'ahavta, which continues right after the Shema. We'll show you where that is in the Torah later. But tonight we are going to do that. We're going to chant it according to the Hebrew trope. So you can hear what Hebrew trope sounds like you may hear later too.
The trope is the melody that we use when we chant from the Torah or other books from the Bible.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'adecha ve'hayu advarim ha'eleh asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'shofbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot ayadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'ktavtam amezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kadoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
So how many of you are starting third grade this year? So you're going to learn all this stuff. You're going to learn about Hebrew letters. So I'm going to show you the first one. You can see this at home too. I have the arrow over it. But right here, that's an aleph. You see that 3 lines down, first one? You can see that in your book. And if you look up here, I don't know if you have it in your books, but we have the trope marks. So some of these are vowels, but that squiggly line up there over the nun, the second letter, that's what the cantor was talking about. That tells her what musical notes to sing together or what phrasing to do. But you'll learn all that because you're all getting ready to go to Hebrew school or Sunday school. Oh, that's a good idea. So is everybody feeling a little antsy in their seats? We usually do this on the last Friday of the month if you come and join with us. But Mi Chamocha is the song that we sang, led by Miriam Wen. Older students help out. Not me, I'm the only one over here, don't blame me. We sang it when God made manna. No? When God, yes. Yeah, when God parted the sea, we crossed on dry land. So it's a big celebration thing. So if you want to stand up and dance a little bit when we sing this song, go ahead. Doing good historical memory. We have this next song, which talks about how when we go to sleep at night, we imagine that God spreads a sukkah over us. And now we know what a sukkah looks like because you walked through one to get in. How many of you have a sukkah at home? If you want to learn how to make a sukkah at home, we're happy to help you next year. How many of you slept in your sukkah sometime? So there you go. Excellent. So you guys know what it's like to spread a sukkah of peace over you when you sleep. Page 4. Borei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Amo Yisrael Al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
וידבר משה את מועדי אדוני אל בני ישראל.
So now we get to the central part of our worship service, the tefillah, sometimes called the Amidah, which means the standing prayer. So we're going to stand up. Usually when we stand up, we face the ark or we face the east. Now, usually there's a whole bunch of prayers. On a weekday, there's 19 prayers in this section. And on a Shabbat or a holiday, there's 7 prayers. But you can also, when you're in a hurry, because, you know, people get a little antsy, or you're being threatened by a snake. So remember this one. You can do it, you can shorten it. Or in some conservative Orthodox congregations, they do a kind of summary prayer at the end. So we've created this Magen Avot B'Imahot, this summary prayer for all the prayers, the 7 prayers that we would do in the middle of the service. And we're going to
We'll chant it.
We're going to chant it. You can see the transliteration and follow along. The beginning part is semi-familiar, and then it changes as we go through the next page.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elokei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Konei Shamayim va'aretz, Magen Avot B'Imahot B'Dvaro, Mechaye HaKol B'Mamaro, Ha'el HaKadosh she'en kemohu, V'hatzi'enu et birkat mo'adecha, L'chaim u'shalom, L'simcha u'sason, Ha'asher ratzita ve'amarta levarchenu, L'fanav na'avod, Le'yir'ah v'chavad, V'nodeh lishmo b'chol yom tamid. Me'on habrachot el ha'hodaot Adon Hashalom Mekadesh Yisrael ve'hazmanim Mikra Kodesh Zecher L'Tziat Mitzrayim.
Once you've learned all the prayers in the Avot B'Imahot, you can go back to this and find all of the little pieces as they're put together. You can be seated. We have prayers that have words. We have prayers that we all say together, but sometimes there are individual prayers that we have, prayers that are only our own, prayers that may not even have words. So in each service, we put this time for Tfilat HaLev, the prayer of our hearts, a silent prayer. So let's take a moment now for our silent prayer.
It was the last clap. We've got to get it ready. Because I know some people were like ready and then we missed it. Very nice. We'll have time for more clapping later, but I didn't want us to.
We're almost ready to
miss
get
out
the
on that
exciting
last
part
one.
of the service. But it is a holiday, so we have an extra prayer of praise that we do called Hallel. We're going to do the blessing first here on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu likro et hallel.
So the first line on page 6, we're going to keep coming back to this one. So whenever we come to that, definitely please sing with me. You can sing with me for all of the
So-
lines, but especially that one, because we're going to do it a lot.
And all of you parents who may not know Hebrew, we will be giving you for your 3rd graders and up, when they practice their prayers, transliteration. So you can follow along with the transliteration on the side. We always have it in our book. Those of you who are learning Hebrew, you can look at it now, but don't look at it later because you're going to be practicing your Hebrew. And if you want to know what the words are that mean in English what you're saying, that's the little letters at the bottom.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, Hodu Adonai ki tov. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ki leolam chashdov. Hodu Adonai ki tov, ki leolam chashdov. Ya la 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 la. La 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 la.
So we get to a part in a minute where everybody's going to be singing, and I can't see your mouths whether you're singing or not. So do me a favor, when you're singing, wiggle your ears. That way we'll know everybody's singing. Okay, you want to practice that? All right, you can work on that for later.
I don't know how
So we're
do
going to go
that,
to the
Rafa.
Torah service now. The Torah service is the high point of our service. We're going to open the ark and bring the Torah out. You're going to get to see the Torah later. This may be one of the Torah scrolls you read from when you become bar bat mitzvah. So you get a chance to see that as well. We do that with special respect, but one of the key points why you're all here is we are welcoming you. That's good, wiggling ears. We are welcoming those of you who are starting your Jewish studies with us by marking your consecration. So we're going to begin the Torah service. We're going to open the ark, and then I'm going to invite up Marv Brander, who's the chair of our Board of Education, and he's going to say some nice things and then invite you up by name, where we're going to give you a special gift to celebrate your consecration. Well, let's turn to page 6 now, and please rise.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Cholun, Erech Hachaim B'Rav Chesed Be'emet, Notzeh Chesed La'malachim, Notzeh Avon V'Fesha, V'Chata V'Nakeh. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Marv, if you want to come up. We're going to ask you not to take pictures now because we'll be able to take pictures later. We'll have an opportunity for people to have pictures later. I'm just going here and highlighting the bima. And where are all of our consecrants? Oh, Walter, we're going to need you on. You want to do video?
First of all, thank you all for coming. I wish to welcome all of you to the service, and I wish to welcome all of our new students to the beginning of their Hebrew education. You and your families have a great deal to look forward to, and you will all be able to be successful, be happy, and learn with us together. I'm part of this community. Once again, thank all of you for being here. Thank all of you for starting on this new stage in your life. Thank you. Tyler Markowitz.
Come on up. And once you're up here, you get to stay up here.
Tyler?
Come on up.
Huh?
Stand in front here. You can stand, everybody can stand wide enough apart. So come up and get your
Come here,
bag.
come and get your bag. I'll hand this evening. Okay. Michael? Miles? Okay, I see somebody moving.
With the canter and she can put it up if you want.
Ethan Krugman? Ryan Krugman? Eli Markowitz? Olivia Geller?
There she is.
Oh. That's right. Wasn't it? Juliet Greenberg? Hallie Greenberg. Eli Dowd. Here. Here you go. Aubrey Johnson.
Please don't take pictures now. We're still in the service. We'll line them up again afterwards.
Jack Ennis.
These two are at home.
Owen Frankel and
Walter Durrell.
Walker Durlak at home.
All right, so here, guys. There are your bags. We'll give them to you when you're in religious school next. Now, we're going to take a moment when we have our students up here. We have a couple things to do. First, we're going to do a blessing for them. So I'm going to bring the blessing up on the screen, and we're all going to read it together. You can find it in your books on page 6. Ready? Our God and God of all generations, we ask your blessing for these children today. They come together with their families and with this congregation to begin their journey of Jewish education and to dedicate their lives to Torah, mitzvot, and acts of loving kindness. The future of our congregation, our community, our people lies in your hands. We promise to nurture and support you throughout your educational journey. We pray that you may always enjoy the sweetness of the words of the Torah on your lips, the love of your people in your hearts, the spark of newfound knowledge in your eyes, and the thirst for inquiry in your mouth. May you take pride both in who you are now and who you may become. We pray that these children will continue to grow in heart and mind. May the story of our people inspire them. May the truths of Torah guide them. And may the prophetic word of truth and righteousness enter their spirit and be for them a lasting blessing. Amen. So one more thing, two more things we get to do. First, so when each of you celebrate becoming more about this, do it here in the temple. Then at the end, when you've done all the work, I'm going to call you up in front of the open arms and do this blessing for you. And when you are firm, I'll call your whole class up in front of the arms to do it. It's a special blessing that for some of you, if I did a read ceremony for you when you're a kid, that's my favorite because I get to hold you as a little baby and do that blessing. It's the blessing of the book of Numbers. I'll show it to you in the middle of the Torah. Rechacha Adonai Yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai Panav Elecha V'Chunecha. May the light of God shine for you and be gracious to you. Sa Adonai Panav Elecha V'Yasem Lecha Shalom. And may God turn God's face to you and give you a blessing of wholeness and peace. So, you a little happy right now? You don't even know what's in the bag. In the bag, you have a certificate from the temple marking your consecration, a certificate from the Reform Movement camps that will give you a discount on your first year of camp if you decide to go to one of our camps like Crane Lake or Eisner or Harlem or 6 Points Creative Arts Academy or 6 Points Sci Tech or 6 Points Sports, any one of those camps or any of the other 18 that are out there. And also a little Torah scroll in English for you to look at. And finally, the last thing is cookies that were baked by some of your teacher, Linda Wolf. And if you happen to be gluten intolerant, she made special gluten-free cookies for you, which is why you need to make sure you have the cookie in the bag with your name on it. Okay? Awesome. All right. So the cantor is going to lead us in saying the Shehechianu, which we already once today, we're going to do once again after this, which we say whenever we're at a happy occasion, and we got 3 today.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asman Hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheanu v'kimanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh.
All right, so now comes the really fun part of our service. We are going to do our Hakafot. We're going to march around with the Torah scroll. And because it's Simchat Torah, we don't just do that once. Anybody have a guess how many times we do that? That's a good number, but you're not there yet. Less than 15,000. 7. Excellent. Somebody coaching you in the back there? You learned on Sunday?
No, I just guessed.
You guessed really well. 7 times. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go around 6 times with 2 of our Torah scrolls. And then for the 7th one, we're gonna take this one and I'll tell you why later. We're gonna unroll this one around and I'll explain that when we get there. We have different people to do different ones. To hold the Torah scroll, you need to be over bar mitzvah age. So you guys don't get to hold the Torah. So for the first, that's cool. For the first, there you go, some Torah. So for the first Hakafah, we're gonna have our consecrants go around. We're gonna have a different song for each Hakafah. You can find them in order in your book, although we're not doing the first one if you have it in the book. It's Al Shlosha Devarim, which is first. So the cantor is gonna lead the singing, and you'll know when we're on the second Hakafah when we get there. So beware of your on deck. So our first one is gonna be our new consecrants, and they're going to be led by our temple president and board of ed chair, who are gonna carry the Torahs. And then the second Hakafah is gonna be parents. So come up here and wait. You'll be on deck when they get back. We'll pass off the Torahs to you. You guys can dance around. If you're not dancing around, you can stay dancing around. If you want to keep going around, that's fine. But if you're not dancing around, you do just that in the back. Everybody watch. You wave your flag. The flag's happy Simchat Torah. If you need another flag, Michelle has a stash of them over there. So the second one is parents, which means the third one is grandparents. No, kids is first.
Grandparents.
Grandparents. Now we're trying to do sex distinctions here, right? So grandparents get to do the third Hakafah. Fourth Hakafah, you can be older siblings or younger siblings who aren't consecrated yet. Fifth Hakafah is everybody who wasn't included in a previous Hakafah. And sixth Hakafah, I don't know, usually we do post bar mitzvah students, but I don't see anyone here, so I don't have any of those. So we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll just do 2 for that. And then 7th one, I'll explain that when we get there. The songs will all be up there. Marv, let me give you a Torah. Yeah, that's right. Sam, you want to come up here for Torah? When you dance around, if you want to put your back back at your family, this is the heavier one. Got it? All right, so we're gonna march around, guys. Now come back for the singing, for the dancing. We're gonna go around that way. The dancing is short. You just kind of dance all the way around the sanctuary, come back here and then stand up front and we'll swap the Torahs. So let Marv and Pam go first. Everybody else back, every other new consecrants back up here. And we're singing Al Shlosha Devarim.
Al Shlosha Devarim.
Okay, follow them around. Go. Go, follow them. Follow the Torah scrolls. Parents up here on deck. These go quick, so. need parents to take the Torah scrolls from mom and dad. All right, parents, follow along. Grandparents, come on up, you're next. Come on, grandparents. All right, wait, grandparents, wait up here. Grandparents, wait up here. It's not your time yet. I know we got 2 more grandparents out there. Come on up. Pass the Torah off. We got. All right, other brothers and sisters, siblings of any gender or none, you're up next. Excellent. Olivia, your brothers can come up now.
I messed up. I lost the slide. I lost the slide. Ebeinu shalom alechem. Ebeinu shalom alechem. Ebeinu shalom alechem. Ebeinu shalom, shalom, shalom alechem. Ebeinu shalom alechem. Ebeinu shalom alechem. Ebeinu shalom alechem.
Ready?
Ebeinu shalom, shalom, shalom alechem.
All right, this hakafah is for everybody who is at home. Let's see how this works.
Ramenu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavo lehar kodsho. Ramenu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavo lehar kodsho. He kadosh Adonai Eloheinu v'memu.
Ellen, thank you for joining us. You just missed the people at home hackathon. You came in just in time.
I've got another song.
All right, so now we're getting tricky. Here's what I need. All the parents, I want you to go around and make a socially distant and comfortable circle in the back where there are no chairs. What? If you would like to use hand sanitizer before we do it, Barb, Pam, did you get the gloves? All right, so what's there? I'll tell them what they're going to do. If you would like to wash your hands, kids, I want all of you sitting in the middle, safely socially distanced. You're back there. All right, so can't turn any yard. All right, hi everybody. Let's see if I get feedback here. Hello, everybody at home. You can kind of see this vaguely in the back. You see everybody standing here. What we're going to do is we're going to unroll the Torah scroll all the way around. You can, if you're all going to take a chance to hold the Torah scroll from top and bottom. Try not to touch the front because then your finger oils stay on it. So you have two choices. One is we have gloves in medium and large, which you can put on. Or if you want, there's also a hand sanitizer right outside that door. I warn you, it's ghastly, awful smelling. So you'll rub your hands and they'll smell like lavender for like 3 days. So we're going to unroll the Torah around. And usually we do this one of the big Torahs. But this year we're going to use the small Torah. And the reason is this small Torah has been on really special duty over the past year. You may have noticed we just started coming back to in-person services and we're doing them hybrid. So we've got people back there at home, hi everybody at home, and we've got people here. But part of the way we did the services is everybody who celebrated becoming bar bat mitzvah from March last year until last week did it by leading services from their own homes. And we lent them this small Torah. This small Torah we haven't used for B'nai Mitzvah for years and years and years. But because this is a very delicate Torah, it is our oldest Torah. Our scribe tells us it's over 350 years old. That's a lot older than the United States. That's over a century older than the United States. So it wasn't made here. It was made in Europe. But we used this Torah all year, and people in our congregation becoming bar and bat mitzvah had the opportunity to have this Torah scroll in their house, to take the Torah scroll and read from it and lift it. So we wanted to give an official thank you to this Torah scroll by unrolling it all the way around and remembering the 15 months that it was in duty doing B'nai Mitzvah. And so we're going to unroll it all the way around. And I have no idea how big this is. One is when we unroll it because I've never unrolled this one all the way before. We've just kind of gone through it. Usually we use the bigger scroll. So we'll see how it works. I'm going to start in the middle over here. And again, when you hold the Torah scroll, you're going to hold it either rested on the bottom of your hands like this, or hold it a little bit on the top. And then I'll go around and read it while I squint a lot because it's very small print.
You can wiggle them. Just super purple. So when you look at it, what you see, a Torah doesn't come out of the pool.
But the Torah is right in the middle. Read from it on the afternoon of Yom Kippur when we normally do. Okay. Jeff, can you help him go one way? We need to spread out. We can't have any holes. So everybody kind of spread out. Kind of spread around. A little closer over here. Spread around so we fill in the holes over there.
Well, we're gonna see. You've never unrolled this much.
That will be
So,
that. It was
but
in
it's
our
actually
sofa.
it's not made out of paper.
You're gonna speak to the mic.
It's not made out of paper. One of the kids just asked if it would rip. And so it doesn't rip because it's not made out of paper. It's made out of, well, it's made out of animal skin, but the edges can get worn. So you see here, but it doesn't rip like paper rips. This, yeah, don't try to prove that point. No, see, none of us are touching it either.
I need your help.
I've got.
So some of you yesterday in Sunday school practiced singing this song with me. And if I didn't sing with your class yesterday, that's okay. Sing it anyway. We'll sing it again when we roll the Torah back up again, since our practice. Shalom, 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 shalom. Let's try that again. Shalom, shalom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom.
Okay, Michelle, point to every other person and send them over there.
All right, let's sing again. Are you ready? Shalom, shalom. Oh, that sounds so good. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Now this is tricky because the last time there's no clap. I know. So it's 3 times with the clap. Should we try it again?
Good. All right.
Yes. Shalom, 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 shalom. What do you think? Are the adults, are they doing okay? They're doing a good job? Let's see. That's a good movie.
Lift it up a little more over there, Mara. You have to come a step closer. You guys come over that way. All right. Excellent. Now the cantor is going to reach over to the TV screen and change the screen. What we're going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you parts of the Torah. Actually, we don't do that blessing yet, I guess. I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you the whole story of the Torah. I'm going to read the entire thing while you're sitting here. Is that exciting? Okay, I'll just, should I just do the exciting parts? Okay, I'll do the exciting parts. But I can't read Torah on my own. I need to see if the cantor can play limbo. So wait, first quiz, where's the beginning? Point to it. Good. Because it goes the other way, right? Hebrew goes, I'm going to start here at the beginning. I'm going to read this part in a bit, but you see right here, there's a giant letter. That's a giant letter bet. That's the second letter of the alphabet. That's why we call it the alphabet. And I'm going to read that at the end, because once we end, we want to go back and start at the beginning. Because we don't have this holiday. It's not called end of the Torah. It's called restarting the Torah. So this is the beginning of creation. And there are 7 days of creation in this story here, which goes over to here. And then there's a second story of creation, which tells things in a different way. And in this way, men and women are created the same time. And in this way, they're created a little separately. And then we have the story of the first family of Adam, and Chava. And we go through there and they have they have 2 kids. They get kicked out of the Garden of Eden. They have 2 kids. It doesn't go very well. Those kids get in a fight, which is always bad. One of them has to run away and one of them doesn't get, one of them is not as lucky as that. And then they have another kid. So there they have their kids and then the kids fight and then one runs away and the other one stays. And all of this stuff, right? All of this stuff we read in the book of Genesis. We get to exciting parts. We got this guy over here. Bad things are happening on the earth. And then there comes this guy who builds an ark, whose name is Noah in Hebrew, right? So here's where Noah builds the ark. Well, lift up a little bit. So Noah builds the ark. He puts 2 of every animal or 7 of every animal, depending on which line you read. And there's a big flood, and he makes it through the flood. And then after that, people who come back on the earth, they build a giant tower called the Tower of Babel. And then over here, we have Noah's descendants, which are all the people in the earth. And here they have one language, but then they split it up at the Tower of Babel. And over here, there's a guy named Avram. And God says to Avram, get up, leave your house, go someplace. And Avram says, he says, yes. Crazy, isn't that? And that's where Judaism starts, right here, when God says, Lech Lecha to Abraham over here. And we already called Abram then. He goes through all this time and gets a blessing. And he has a kid eventually named Isaac. And Isaac, they have this very harrowing experience together with Abraham and Isaac. That happens over here. Achari Hadivrim Ha'eleh. And then Isaac comes back and his mother Sarah dies. And Abraham is old and he sends his, we're going to learn about this. This is 3,500 years before Abraham Lincoln. So Abraham Lincoln is named after this Abraham. So there you go. So Abraham sends his servant out to find a wife called Rebecca. Oh, that's funny. For Isaac. That's the portion that we have someone reading in another couple of weeks. And then we come through. Abraham dies. Isaac and Rebecca have 2 kids. Anybody know the name of Isaac and Rebecca's 2 kids? No, who are their 2 kids? We already know Isaac and Rebecca. What's that? That is close but wrong. Jacob and Esau. Jacob and Esau, they also don't get along so well. And they fight, and Jacob tries to steal the birthright from Esau. Esau gets mad at him. Jacob runs away. He goes up to his uncle's place. Here he goes out. He flees from his home. And he goes to Haran, where his uncle is. And there he meets this beautiful woman he falls in love with, whose name is? No, Rebecca's his mom. Rachel. He says, I want to marry this woman. And his uncle says, you can marry her, but you got to work for me for 7 years. So he works for 7 years. He goes, he gets married. And at the end of the wedding, he lifts up her veil. And who's he married to? Is her sister, Leah. And Jacob says, that's wrong. He says, well, you can have the other sister too if you work for another 7 years. So he does that. And how many kids do they have that we know about? Close. 12, 13. 12 of Jacob's children become the starters of the 12 tribes. And the 13th we know of is Dinah. And there's probably a bunch of others that we don't know about. But those are the 12 we know about that become the 12 tribes. And so the 12 tribes grow, and one of the kids, who's Rachel's kid, is the name of Joseph. If you guys haven't learned about Joseph, because it's been, 2-3 years since we've done Genesis. Joseph has dreams and interprets them. And he has dreams that he's better than his brothers. Any of you ever brag on things to your siblings and they get mad at you? Yeah, well, that's what Joseph does. So his brothers get mad at him and they throw him in a pit. Don't try this at home. When they throw him in a pit, he ends up being picked up by some people from Egypt, and they take him off and they make him a slave in Egypt. And he's there for a while, but eventually he comes out and he interprets a dream for Pharaoh, and he saves all of Egypt, and Pharaoh puts him in charge of half of Egypt. And then when his brothers are starving and they need food, they come to Egypt for food, and they don't know it's Joseph who's giving them the food. And he kind of tricks them, but eventually he tells them he's his brother, and they bring everybody together, and all of the Israelite people, all the descendants of Jacob, whose name is Israel now, come to live in Egypt. And then 400 years later, we get to this part over here. Elah Shemot B'nai Israel. The Israelites have been living there in Egypt, and they're doing really well. But a new Pharaoh comes along, and he never heard of this Joseph guy. And he's scared of the Israelites. So he says, we got to make them slaves. And so he makes our people slaves. But in the second chapter comes along this guy who they're supposed to throw him in the river. We'll get you in a sec. But his sister comes up with this plot to float him down the river, and Pharaoh's daughter saves him. And so she calls him Moses. Excellent. Moses, now we call these things the 5 books of Moses, but we've been all the way this far. We never heard of Moses. We don't hear Moses till here. And Moses, 80 years of Moses' life happens here, and the last 40 is all of that stuff. So when Moses was 80 years and one day, want to hear about that? Moses flees Egypt, and when he flees Egypt, he finds a guy named Yitro, and he stays with Yitro, and he's over there being a farmer. And then one day what happens? Moses is out being a shepherd, and what does he find? He sees a bush that's burning, but it's not burnt up. And who talks to him there? God. God says, you got a job, your job is to? Nope. Yep. Go to Egypt, talk to Pharaoh, tell Pharaoh to let. And Moses says, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not good at that speaking. And God says, well, I'll send your brother Aaron to help you. So in this part, Moses goes to Pharaoh and he tells him all of these things. He says, you got to let my people go. Right here it says, Vayomer Adonai, Moshe, Bo El Paro. He says, go to Pharaoh. Pharaoh says, yeah, I'll let your people go, right? No. Pharaoh says, no, I won't let them go. And so God causes plagues. All these horrible plagues happen all the way through here. And after the final plague, Pharaoh says, I can't take it anymore. You can go. So they run off and they're heading away from Egypt. And as they head away, this is a cool part, you ready? They head away from Egypt, they run into the water and they can't cross the water. And Pharaoh's army, because Pharaoh's changed his mind and coming up behind them. And instead, they cross on dry land. And then Miriam and Moses come up with this song. They write this song here, which we sang part of before, called the Mi Chamocha. The Mi Chamocha is right in here. And the cantor is going to chant some of it for us. And you notice it looks like here's the ocean and it's parted. The Israelites are going through the middle.
All right, I'm going to do that Mikamocha part. And this is a special melody that we use for this part of the Torah. It sounds different from the rest.
Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh.
So what's the next thing that happens after we're there at Mount Sinai? So I blew that, didn't I? She was paying attention. What's the next thing that happens after we cross the sea? What's the next big thing? Not yet. First, we have to come together as a people. And I gave you a hint before. God meets us where? Mount Sinai. And there at Mount Sinai, we get a whole bunch of commandments. And here they are. So you can see them right here. It says lo, 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 no, no, no. That's the second half of the 10 Commandments. They start down here. And this is where the 10 Commandments are. And after, is that focused or you're just kind of? And that's where the 10 Commandments are. And it's only 10 because after God gave 10 of it, we like, this is fire and lightning and thunder and it's really scary and we're bored. We want to go home. Moses, you get the rest. So after that is Mishpatim, which is a whole bunch of laws. All of these things we're supposed to do. Moses does all these laws. And then there's this part over here where the people are so bored when Moses is up the mountain. What do? They do break the laws, but what one do they break in particular? Yeah. They don't, it's not where they jaywalk. There aren't any streets in the wilderness. That's the good news. There's no one to prosecute them. There's no police either to prosecute them for jaywalking. Idols, they say, God, who's this God? Who's Moses? Let's make our own God. And they build a golden calf. God gets very mad And Moses smashes the commandments, then has to go get another prayer. But then God and Moses realize that the people need something to hang out in. They need some presence to remember God. And so they're not going to make a picture of God. So they make the Mishkan, which is a portable tabernacle in the wilderness. And they build an ark to keep the 10 commandments in and all the commandments. And this is all the details of the ark of the Mishkan, which they build. And it's finally finished over here. And when it's finished, God comes down and makes a pillar of cloud over the Mishkan by day and a pillar of fire at night. So you never have to worry about tripping over it. And here we have the third book. Right now we've gone through 5 books of the Bible. This is the third one. So we're kind of in the middle. This is the book of Vayikra, Leviticus. And this has all sorts of commandments about animals you have to kill, and how you kill the animals, and how you lift up grain for God. And there's a story about people who do things wrong and they get fried. I mean, there's some good stuff in here. There's leprosy. Everybody loves leprosy. And all of these fun stories as we go through Leviticus until we get to the 4th book, which is the book of Numbers. It's called Bamidbar in Hebrew, which means the wilderness. So who said we wander through the wilderness? All of this up to here, we haven't gone anywhere. We're still at Mount Sinai. Right here at this book, then we get up from Mount Sinai and we start to travel. And we get almost, so we're traveling through, we're going a little bit, and then right over here, you see this part right here? It's a little tougher in this version. On a bigger Torah, you can see it. Anybody see what that looks like? So whenever you see the text laid out really funny, it's probably an important portion. So the cantor is showing you the blessing I did for you guys before, the priestly benediction is right here. And God says, when I put my name upon you, do it like this. And the tradition is to hold your hands like this when you do it, when Kohanim do that blessing, or when I do that blessing. And so if you look at it right there, it kind of looks like a hand like that. So that's the blessing. And then they almost get to the promised land and they send spies in and they're like, no, this is really scary because the people there are giants. And they said, we don't want to go there. And God says, fine, you don't want to go there. You can wait another 38 years in the desert. So they wait another 38 years in the desert. We kind of jump in here over 38 years and we pick up the story. It says end here. So we get through the book of Numbers and we meet the daughters of Zelophehad who stand up and say, hey, we're not guys and you only give property to guys. There are no guys in our family. We need property. And so they make rules for them. And we get over here, we travel all the way, by the end of the book of Numbers, right here, we travel all the way up to the promised land. God says to Moses, you don't get to go into the promised land. Joshua's going to lead the people, but you don't get to. You got them far enough. So right before Moses dies, he says, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand up and give a really long sermon. And it starts right here, and it goes all the way over there to where Micah and Ruth's parents are. This nice long sermon. You want to hear it? I'll tell you part of it. So over here, let's see if I can find it. Over here, Moses is retelling the whole story of everything that went before. And so he tells them the 10 commandments again. So here you see all these loaves again. This is another version of the 10 commandments. And remember I told you when you look at a part of prayer in the service, there's a giant ayin and a giant dalid. That's the Shema. It's right here in chapter 6 of the Torah. And you can read that once you learn to read the Shema. You can come up here and read Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And right after, V'ahavta, just like the cantor chanted, is right here in the Torah. And Moses tells the people what to do and how to do right things and what happens when they go to war and how they treat other people and how they have to have justice and be nice to each other and all of these things. And says, all right, when you get there, I want you to write all these rules on 2 mountains. I want you to whitewash them and graffiti those 2 mountains and put the blessings on one side and the curses on the other. And then finally, Moses is almost done. He's finished the sermon, but he says, you know, they're going to forget it. You know what people remember? Songs. So I'm going to redo the entire thing in a song. So you see these funny looking columns here? Can you stand out of the way, Michelle? See, these look different. These are called Ha'azinu. This is a special song. At our last bar mitzvah, Nathan Mitchell chanted this for his Torah portion a week and a half ago. And then we get right here, and here is where Moses dies. And what I'm going to do is we're going to do the blessing before. I'm going to read the end of the portion, and I'll translate it for you. But then before I take a breath, I'm going to run over here to read the beginning of the portion. So there's never a point where we're done with the Torah. While I'm doing that, you're going to cover over it by saying a special thing, which you say whenever you get to the end of a book of the Torah. Chazak, try that. Chazak, v'nit chazek. It means strength, strength, and may you be strengthened. So the Cantor will help you lead that and say that while I go in the middle. But first, we're going to do the blessing before I read the Torah, which is now up on the screen. Not up on the screen. Oh, hi over there. It's romper room. I see Ellen.
All right, we've got the blessing. So adults, join with me. Baruch hu et Adonai Hamorach. Baruch Adonai Hamorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. V'mot sham Moshe Eved Adonai be'eretz Moab al pi Adonai. And there died Moses, the servant of Adonai, in the land of Moab by the touch of God. By Voroto begay be'eretz Moab mul Beit Peor v'lo yada ish et kvarto ad hayom hazeh. And God buried him there in the valley near the land of Moab, near to Beit Peor, and no person today knows where his tomb is. V'Moshe ben mea ve'esrim shana b'moto lo ka'ato einav v'lo nes lecha. And Moses was 120 years old when he died, and yet he had not lost any of the power of his gaze or of his force. Vayikhu b'nei Yisrael et Moshe be'arvat Moab shloshim yom. Vayitmuye b'chi evel Moshe v'Yoshua ben Nun v'le ruach chokhmah ki samach Moshe et yadav alav. And they mourned, the children of Israel mourned for Moses in the land of Moab 30 days. And when the time of that mourning came to an end for Moses, then Joshua the son of Nun was filled with the spirit of wisdom because Moses had placed his hands upon him. Vayishma elav b'nei Yisrael v'yasu ka'asher tziva Adonai et Moshe. And then they followed his commandments, and the children of Israel, and they did as God had commanded, just like as God had commanded to Moses. V'lo kam navi od b'Yisrael k'Moshe asher yadu Adonai panim el panim. And then there did not arise ever again a prophet in Israel like Moses who knew God face to face. V'kol ha'otot v'hamoftim asher shalchu Adonai la'asot be'eretz Mitzrayim leParo u'lechol avodav u'lechol artzo u'lechol hayad ha'chazakah u'lechol ha'mora hagadol asher asa Moshe l'anei kol Yisrael. And all of the signs and the wonders and the miracles which God did through in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh and to all of his servants and to all of his land and all of the great hand and all of the visions, the great visions, and the things which Moses did in the eyes of the children of Israel.
Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek.
Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim bet haaretz v'haaretz hayta tohu v'vohu v'choshech al pnei tehom. And in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form. It was all it was chaos, and darkness was over the face of the deep. Baruch Elohim merachefet al pnei hamayim, and the Spirit of God hovered over the waters. Vayomer Elohim yehi or, and God said, "Let there be
Light.
Vayehi or, and there was light. Vayar Elohim et haor ki tov, and God saw the light that it was.
Good.
Vayabdel Elohim bein haor uvein hachoshech, vayakara Elohim laor yom v'lachoshech kara laila, vayerev vayivoker yom echad." And God separated between the darkness, the light and the darkness, and God called the light,
Day,
and God called the darkness,
night.
and there was evening, and there was morning, a first day. Blessing afterwards.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Now we're going to roll the Torah back up, back to that middle spot so we can read from it next year. So when we get to you, hold it as you were holding it now, but when we get closer to you, what I want you to do is put your hands underneath and put your arms out like this so it's resting on you. Jeff's going to start rolling from one side. We may put other people in too. I'll start rolling from the other. And while we're doing that, of course, it's the end of our Hakafah, and the cantor will also lead us in song.
All right, kids, I need your help again. We practiced before. Are you ready for your awesome? Like, I appreciated that so much. Shalom, 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 shalom. No clapping this time. All right. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Ready for our shaloms? Here they come. Shalom, 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 shalom. Now just in Hebrew. Eitz Chaim Hila Machazikim Babetom Cheha Meushar Eitz Chaim Hila Machazikim Babetom Cheha Meushar. Shalom, 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 shalom. Shalom, 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 shalom. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Good. Let's hear these shaloms. Shalom, 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 shalom. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. All right, nice and loud. Shalom, 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 shalom. Eitz Chaim Hila Machazikim Babetom Cheha Meushar Eitz Chaim
All right, everybody go back to your seats, but stay standing. We're going to continue with the Aleinu. In your prayer books, we are on page 9. Page 9. While we see if the cantor can carry both guitars at the same time. All new this year. It's so exciting. All right, page 9, we face the ark.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, v'ateit gdula le'otzer breshit, shelo asanu k'vei haratzon, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelpenu kahem, v'gor aleinu v'chol hamonam, anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'madim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר וחיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Now we take a moment while we are together as a congregation to remember those who have come before. Just as we look through the long Torah scroll, we see all the life of the people who have come before us, who have made the Jewish people. So we remember those people whose names may not be inscribed in that scroll, but inscribed in the scrolls of our heart. We continue with the Mourner's Kaddish on page 10. Yitgadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah. V'yalmad Yivarach Yerutei v'yamlit Malchutei. V'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayei teful Beit Yisrael. V'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah v'barach le'olam olei Amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal Shemei v'kudsha rifu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechmata, damiran v'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru Amen.
Please be seated. Tell you what, we will do Kiddush outside, and we'll do our blessing and motzi out there, and there'll be snacks. First, we're going to call up our president, Pam Brander, to share a few announcements with us. Not so much, Pam.
Well, welcome all. It really is good to see you here tonight with the children getting ready for Hebrew school. Just a few notes on things that are going on in the temple in the next few weeks. Simchat Torah morning service is tomorrow, and Sukkot Yizkor. On Sunday, October 3, we have a Sunday school. The Sukkah breakdown will be happening then, so if any of you would like to volunteer to help us take down the sukkah, please let us know. Feel free to drop by on Sunday morning to give a hand. And for all of our new third grade parents, there will be an introduction to the Hebrew curriculum. So that's probably worth going to. On Tuesday, October 5th, that's the first day of Hebrew school this year. So this is our Tuesday afternoon school, runs what, 4 to 6, and it's the start of the Hebrew program. It's also the opening night of our new high school program, the Hamakom program directed at our oldest student. On Sunday, October 10th, we're having a new member brunch to welcome new members of our congregation. You'll hear more about that in the weeks that follow. Okay. On Saturday, October 16th, we're having the bar mitzvah of Ben Silverman. Now, all members of the congregation are invited to the morning service for the bar and bat mitzvah. So if you just like to start taking a look at such a service, now's the time. And then on Wednesdays, 9:30 is the Cantor's midweek morning meditation. And on Thursday, September 30th, we lunch with the rabbi outside on the patio. If you have anything to add.
That's good. Thank you, Pam. All right, we're gonna go to our closing song now, and then after our closing song, we'll do our benediction. Then we'll invite all of our new consecrants to come up so people can take as many pictures as they want. So first, since we just got to this part of the Torah, let's sing about creation. Page 11.
When God made the world, God made it full of light, the sun to shine by day, the moon and stars by night. God made it full of light, lilies, oaks, and trout, tigers and bears, sparrows, hawks, and apes. And God took clay from earth's four corners to give it the breath of life. And God said, "This is very good. This is very good. Man, woman, and child, all are good. This is very good. This is very good. Man, woman, and child, all are good. Man, woman, and child resemble God. Like God we love, like God we think, like God we care. Like God we love, like God we think, like God we care. This is very good. This is very good. Man, woman, and child, all are good. Man, woman, and child resemble God.
Please rise. We come together at this special moment at the end of our High Holy Days. It's been a lot of celebrating, but of course, the last thing we choose to celebrate are two of the most important things in our Jewish life: the eternal cycle of the Torah and bringing new people into studying that Torah. As we celebrate and look forward to see what we will learn from our newest students, we ask for God's blessing.
Yevarechecha Adonai, ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May the light of God shine for you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shalom.
May God turn God's face to you and give you a blessing of wholeness and peace.
Amen.
Chag Sameach. All of our new consecrants come up and stand here in front of the bima, socially distanced, and we'll take pictures. I will highlight on the screen Owen. And let's see. Up. We lost Walter. Oh, and there you go. Stand there on the screen. We're going to add you to the picture. Stand a little apart from me. Stand about 3 feet apart from everybody. Don't stand in front of the screen, though we can't see it. Everybody, put your elbows out. You should be an elbow away from the people next to you. No, separate. Make 2 rows. 2 rows. Some of you come stand in front. Come stand in front. Come stand in front. All right, excellent. All right, here's what we're going to do. Everybody pay attention to me. We are all going to start. We're going to start looking over here at Olivia's parents. We're going to look over Olivia's parents and smile.